Gonna keep this one short. It's a new dash cam I got from Vantrue. This one here works excellent. We're gonna show it off. It's 2 cameras in the car and out the front window, and it also has a time-lapse mode, and it works really good. Let's check it out. We're gonna look at another dash cam. This one's by Vantrue. This one's called the N2S. As you can see, it's factory steel still. So we're gonna open this one up together. I'm gonna set it up, and I'm going to take it out, put it in the car, and we'll look at some pictures of it. This, I don't think, is going to be a particularly long video. Hope it's not going to be too long. There's our factory seal is now broken. This is the first time that I've seen this one, and the first time you guys have seen it. It comes with, I guess, all the accessories. Let's see what else is in the box here. Okay, first, accessory box number 1. What do we have in this one? Suction cup mount. Excellent. Like it already. Don't have to attach it, and it's got a GPS module as well. Don't have to attach this with double-sided tape to my window. The double-sided tape ones are great, but of course they become a permanent attachment to the car, which is kind of a pain if you want to move it from one car to another, or you just want to put it in place for temporary use for making a video, for example. Comes with, this is a standard USB cable. Well, it's not a standard USB cable, it's a USB-C cable. And, of course, the power adapter, which is also fitted with a USB-C cable. Excellent. Here's the camera. And what else is in this? I think that's all that's in this box. It's just the camera. Yep. Here's the camera here. Cool. It's a dual camera, as you can see. It has a camera to face out the front window, which is a 12 or 1520p Super HD. So it's not 4K, but it's 1520 progressive. 4K would be 2160. So this is halfway there. It's better than HD, which is 1080, but it's not 4K, which is 2160. So this would be, I think you would probably call this one a 3K picture. It also has a camera on the back. This one records 1920. So this one records what's going on in the car itself. So you get a shot of everybody that's in the car, and of course it sees out the windows. So you're not going to want to mount this super high up on the window, because otherwise it's going to miss looking out the windows. Up high enough, but it's not. You're not going to want to have it right at the very top. And the rear-facing camera, of course, can be adjusted accordingly. Camera sits into the mount just like this. The GPS is built into here, so it's going to log your speed, and it's going to log your direction of travel, time, date, and everything. Camera snaps on like that. To release it, there's a little button on the front, so you can leave the suction cup attached to the window and just push the little button on here, and the camera will pull off just like that. Pretty straightforward. Uses a micro SD card. We're going to find a micro SD card. It also has an HD output on here as well, which probably would go to a I'm going to say it's probably a HDMI, micro HDMI, USB reset button, and the micro SD card slot. We'll power it up in the shop here, and we'll set the camera up. We'll go through some of the settings together, and then it's going in the car, and we're going to try it out and see how it works. Just looking at some of our options here. For example, the resolution. You can operate it in dual recording mode, which will give you 1440p plus 1080p at 30 frames per second. So 1440p out the front window, 1080p out the back camera. You can operate it in 1080p plus 1080p mode at 30 frames. 720 or 1080 plus 720. 720 plus 1080, so 720 out the front, 1080 out the back. 720 plus 720. And the single front camera mode, it'll record 2592 by 1520 at 30 frames. 2560 by 1440 at 30. 1920 by 1080 at 30. 1280 by 720 are also available. So in single camera mode, it will record a higher quality picture, because in dual camera mode, it's limited to 1440p. By default, it's in dual recording mode, 1440 plus 1080. If you want to change it, just go to the record settings, resolution, dual recording, and turn it off. Select your options here. It also has features like time-lapse, where you can create a time-lapse video, and we can use up to a 256 gig SD card. Excellent. Uses a supercapacitor as its power source, therefore there's no battery to wear out on it. 64 gig label facing forward, for those that have a tendency to mess that up. I'm going to power this up in the car. We're going to power it up here first. Let me just grab a USB adapter, and we'll set it up. Is it a touchscreen or no? It's not. I have to use the buttons here to select English. Okay. I'm going to select the date. It's obviously not 2030. Today is the 16th. And the time is 2:45 p.m. So 14:45. It shouldn't matter, because it should automatically pick up the date from the GPS once it gets a signal. What are we on here? kmh or mph? Here, kilometers per hour. Here's the back camera. Please format the card. Okay. Let's go into the menu. And I'll go into probably system setup, probably. System setup. Here we go. I'll zoom this camera in a bit so you guys can see a little closer what I'm doing. I'm going to select format the SD card and format it. Format is successful. I can select the LCD if I want to keep it on, or select 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 3 minutes. Device sound, that's for the speaker on here. Frequency, I should set it to 60 Hertz, which it's already set. Looks like it's already set to 60 Hertz. System info, this is just going to give me the info on the system, what software is on it. GPS is on. And speed unit, I think we've already set that to kmh. Whoops. There we go. Now we're back to language. Press the menu key. We'll navigate over to record setup. Resolution. Dual recording or single recording. I'll set it up for dual recording this time. 1440 plus 1440 is one. The next option is 1440 plus 1080. 1080 plus 1080. 1080 plus 720, 720 plus 1080, 1080 on the back camera in this case, 720 plus 720. We'll leave it at 1440 by 1440. And for single recording, I will set it to, so this one here, interesting. It will do 4K, 3840 by 2160 at 25 frames. 2592 by 1520 at 30 frames. 2560 by 1440 at 30, 1920 by 1080 at 30, 720 by 720, or 1280 by 720. So it will do 3840, but at 25 frames. We're going to do it at 30 just because doing it at 25 is going to result in some skipping frames, even though I'm rendering this video out at 60. So we'll leave it at that for when I go into the single recording mode. And menu to go back. Loop recording. Loop recording, you can select 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or off. When it's set to off, the memory card will fill up and then it will stop recording, like all of them. IR LEDs, you can turn them on or off. That's for the interior for the camera, or for the interior camera. Front camera doesn't have any LEDs on it, just the interior camera. G sensor has different sensitivity settings for the G sensor. Audio recording, you can choose to record the audio or not. We'll leave it on just for this test, just so we can hear what the sound is like. Parking mode, it says, when parked in the hot summer sunlight, please use the collision detection triggered parking mode. So you can select collision detection plus motion detection are off. Exposure, this is where you can change your front or cabin camera, adjust your exposure compensation. We'll leave everything set at 0. Next one down, WDR, that stands for wide dynamic range, on or off. Number plate, this is where you can put your own license plate on. It's not capturing the other person's, it's where you can set your own. Timestamp, date timestamp. We'll turn off the Vantrue stamp. We'll turn off the number stamp. We'll leave the speed stamp on, and I'm going to turn off the GPS location stamp just for now. But you can turn that on and off. I'm just turning it off so that people won't know where I am driving around when I do the recording. And rotate display. You can either, have the camera mounted upside down or right side up. Time lapse is where you can set up your, oh look, it'll do 1 frame per second or 5 frames per second. Will it do any others? No, just those. We'll try that out. We'll try out the time lapse on this thing when I drive around. And I'm going to do some driving at night too, so this will be shot during, I'll do some shooting now and I'll do some shooting later. And resolution, now we're back to resolution, so we're back to there. And then back to, we've been into the setup now. Files, this is probably just for, oh yeah, event, normal, and all. This is for playing back your files. So that is, that's it. Let's go mount this in the car and take a drive. I forgot to mention, when you're attaching it in the car, you stick the suction cup on and then you rotate. And that forms a suction. Right, that's the locked mode, so you can remove it from the window by just turning it back, and then you can pull on the little release tab here. I didn't realize when I shot this that my version of Premiere Pro, which is an older version at CS6, I haven't bought into the Creative Cloud because I don't believe in paying every month for software that I spend a fortune on to buy, so I'm not about to kick in an extra $10 a month just so I can use their software. But the version I've got does not support 1440p. So it supports 2160p and 1080p. So I'm going to have to reshoot some shots in 1080, and we'll show you how the camera works in 1080p mode. So we're testing this new Vantrue dash camera. I got the sound turned on so you can hear how the sound is on the camera. Okay, back onto the studio mic so you can hear the difference in terms of the audio quality. Most dash cams don't have good sound quality. There's a few that actually do sound not too bad, but most of them sound pretty tinny. But that's okay. They're not there to record high quality sound. They're there just to record
the atmosphere sound, and most people turn the microphone off on their dash cam anyway, because you typically don't want your conversations recorded. So we're taking a look now. I've had to do a bit of conversion here because it turns out that this Vantrue encodes in HEVC, high efficiency video compression, also known as H.265, but it's still an MP4 container. So programs such as VLC will open the files no problem, but it cannot be imported into my version of Premiere because my version doesn't support HEVC. I would have to upgrade to the new Creative Cloud to be able to import those files. And of course, Creative Cloud, you have to pay every month for it. And that's one of my policies, is I don't rent software. I bought this version of Premiere years ago when it was still sold as a package. This is Creative Suite 6 that I'm using. I've been using it now for probably close to 10 years, whenever it came out, 9 or 10 years ago. But I don't buy into the pay every month to continue to use the software BS. They can take their software and pound sand. Now that does limit what I can do with this. I know, if I would upgrade, I could import some of the more current compression algorithms, but it's compatible with the cameras that I use for my production business. So for that reason, I don't see any need to upgrade. And as far as switching to a different platform, there's a big learning curve to do that. So we're just going to take a drive through the George Massey Tunnel, as today is the first day of the new lighting. So let's check out the northbound lighting, as they just replaced all the ancient high pressure sodium lighting with LED. And today they turned it on. So they've only done one side. They haven't even done the other side yet. But we'll take a drive through the tunnel and check this out. And then I'm going to show you some stuff that I shot last night in the dark, so we can see how well the camera is recording. I neglected to have the interior camera on when I made the recording. You can choose single camera or dual camera mode, and I only had it running in single camera mode. But I also did shoot some time lapse, so we'll look at the time lapse footage right out of the camera, as I do have some shots in time lapse. So we'll look at that as well. Anyway, here we are. This is in real time. And as you can see, the quality, if it looks like it's stepping a bit, that would just be an artifact of either YouTube or my editing software. As I said, I did have to convert this from H.265 to H.264 in order to import it. So that will probably compromise the picture quality slightly. When I looked at the source files, especially the stuff that I did at 1440, the source files look great. So this is time-lapse done in the camera. This was actually shot at the 1440, and I rescaled it. It wasn't Premiere can't handle 1440p. Premiere just can't handle H.265. So this was a 1440p time-lapse created in the camera. I used WonderFox DVD converter software, which is one that I reviewed a while back that I've had a few people tell me doesn't work. Well, it does work, and it works perfect for what I use it for, which is downloading videos off YouTube and converting files from one standard to another. It works perfect for that. This was what was used to convert this file from an HEVC to a standard H.264 MP4 file. So this shot was taken off the camera. Again, it was done in time-lapse mode on the camera at 5 times. So right off of the camera, it's a 5 times speed up, which is great for making ultra-lapse videos. If you want to document a trip, for example, you've still got the footage if you were in an accident, but you've also got a time-lapse version of it. So if you want to look back at your road trip, for example, without having to sit down and wait and work on the computer for hours to speed it up, this way you can just set the camera in time-lapse mode and you get a time-lapse picture or time-lapse video file right out of the camera that you can play directly. it's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the night shots. So I recorded this about 11:30 or so last night, 11:26 to be exact. And this is a relatively dark street. There's the odd street light here, but there's not a lot of external lights other than the car headlights. As you can see, it's doing a pretty good job in low light. We're going to skip ahead a bit into the core of the town here, and we'll see how it looks more around like city lighting. But in the darkness here, it's actually performing quite well. And then the town light. So we get a little bit more light here now, so you can get an idea. So you can see there's nobody on the road at this time of night. It's like the town is completely dead. I don't think I saw two or three other cars when I did this drive. And it was just kind of a makeup shot because I did some recording earlier, and didn't think I was going to be able to use the shots because I was in the higher resolution mode. So I went and did some makeup shooting after the fact, and this is what we ended up getting at night. Anyway, I said this video wasn't going to be very long. I'm going to end it here. I just wanted you guys to see this new Vantrue dual camera, how the picture quality looks. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one real soon. Link to this one is in the description. Bye for now.